How did your crazy ex become your crazy ex? Story 1. She cut out my head from yearbooks and put them on corkboards on her headboard. I found out because one of her friends told me she did, and so I wanted to see for myself. She was working during the day, and I was close with her brother, who let me in when I said I needed to grab something from her bedroom. I walked in, and sure enough, my head on a bunch of muscular bodies that weren't mine. I broke up with her the next day after seeing the Hey Arnold-esque shrine. Following the breakup, she would drive on my street and stop and wait outside and see if my light was on. It wasn't, mainly because I knew she would do that. Then she would call me and leave voicemails of her breathing rather heavily. She then tried to get me jealous of her having another guy, which I was everything but jealous of, and she actually had sex with and got pregnant with said guy, which kind of backfired on her. So, happy ending, I guess? Story 2. Oh, I had one mega crazy ex. This girl was 5 kinds of messed up in the head and needed to be locked up. First, she had a kid. I didn't doubt that. I saw her stretch marks. Not a big deal. She claimed the kid had been taken by the baby daddy and disappeared. Okay. Stranger things have happened. Things started not adding up soon. She was a pathological liar. Started with, I make $60 per hour in the military, which I knew was BS for her rank, since my mom was a higher rank than she was and made far less than that. She stole my car one night, and by the time the cops got there, she was already back and claimed innocence, and the cops threatened to arrest me for making a false report. Then she tried playing the ultimate psycho card and said she'd had a call saying her kid's daddy had been in a wreck in Canada and the kid was dead. At first, I wasn't sure to call BS on that or not. 2 days later, she downed a bottle of sleeping pills with a full bottle of vodka. While she was in the hospital, I did some digging and found out that she and her husband got a divorce, and he was awarded custody due to her being a complete nut job. I got out of there as fast as I could. Story 3. I tried to end things several times and always got guilt-tripped into taking him back. When I finally told him I was ending it for good, he asked if we could still be friends. I said of course we could. I was 17 years old, naive, and did not yet understand how complicated staying friends is. A few days later, he invited me to his house to play Guitar Hero, as friends, of course. I thought it would be fine because his other friend was going to be there too. Like I said, naive. Or stupid. Or both. When I got to his house, he had a drink in his hand, red flag number 1. In the year I had dated him, he had never had a drink. As he drank more, he began asking me to stay over one last time and begging him to give him one last kiss. For obvious reasons, I became incredibly uncomfortable and told him I was leaving. He followed me up the stairs and cornered me in the entranceway, grabbing at my wrists, trying to force them to my sides and kiss me, refusing to let me leave. He was crying, I was screaming and crying, his friend was yelling at him to let me go. I managed to take out my cell phone and call my mom, but he yanked it out of my hands before I could say anything to her. Luckily, she heard me screaming before he hung up, got in her car and hauled ass to his place. With the help of his friend, I managed to get out of the house and into my mom's car. He stood in front of it, in bare feet, in the snow. But I think he realized my mom probably would have run him down. Not really, but she was definitely in defense mode, because he got out of the way. That was just the beginning of months of BS, including a unalive attempt and various incidents of harassment. I was really messed up about it for a really long time. Story 4. In one of our many fights, she tried to leave in my vehicle and stormed outside. I had my keys on me, so when she walked out, I locked the door to get her to have her mom come get her. She turned her wedding ring around, and while staring at me through the back sliding glass door, this girl proceeds to use a diamond to mark her face, neck, and arm while saying, "You're going to go to jail. Look at these scratches. You did this to me. Let me in, or I'll call the police." Now, I don't know about you, but if a woman is in a certain state of mind that she will use the hardest natural substance known to scratch her own body up, I'm not letting her in. So she called the cops, and I had to explain to them that I did not in fact attack her, and if they would care to notice that out of all her scratches, she had none on her left arm. Anyway, that was our second time being married. That's my crazy ex story. Story 5. When I was in art school, I became involved with a girl who was one of the most gifted painter printmakers I'd ever seen. Everyone knew she was going places. Teachers unabashedly praised her in critiques. She was several years older than me, but I was so smitten, it didn't matter. On our first date, we smoked weed, then salvia, then drank whiskey till we blacked out. Unfortunately, it hardly stopped there. I quickly realized she had a drinking problem. Every day, she began drinking in the early afternoon. By nightfall, she was belligerent and often violent. Every night was a new horror, dragging her out of bars, breaking up a fight she'd started with a homeless person, finding her passed out on my porch in the early morning hours. Once she even jumped out of my moving car after an argument. I couldn't handle it. I cared about her, but I couldn't spend my life as a babysitter. Not now, but especially not at 21. I broke up with her sweetly one weekend. She was upset about it, but said she understood and hoped we'd still be friends. I agreed we could. Monday rolled around, and I walked into my first class. "You didn't see the artwork on the wall, did you?" the first person to greet me asked. "No," I said. "You need to go look," said the friend. I sauntered back to the doorway and looked around. Hung on the wall opposite my classroom was a life-size woodcut print of me, drowning. I was gasping for breath, fingers clutching nothing but water, more dead than alive. I have a deep fear of the ocean. I haven't been in a large body of water since I was 10. For a month, I was faced with the aspect of my own gruesome death. Everyone agreed it was beautifully done. And that's why you don't date people in art school, kids. Story 6. I dated a girl my freshman year at university for 3 weeks. That's right, not a full month. I noticed that I needed to bail when she asked to celebrate our 2-week anniversary. Like, really celebrate. So after an awkward week, I managed to break up with her, only to truly unlock the depth of her pool of crazy. She called my phone 500 times and left literal hundreds of crazy screaming, crying voicemails, all in one day. When I didn't respond that day, she took to the internet. She found my mother's contact information via LinkedIn, as my mother doesn't use social media unless it's for her job, and called her countless times and even sent her emails. When all of this failed, she sent her meathead brother and his posse of upside-down triangle-shaped men to my house in broad daylight to stir shit up, which neither my parents nor the neighbor, a fairly young former Marine, and his new wife, appreciated. After much police involvement and a few drawn firearms, the crazy bitch gave up, sort of. I still get a call about every 2 months and letters in the mail asking to meet up and work things out. Thanks for letting me get that one off my chest. Story 7. Painted my name all over his bedroom, bathroom, and lounge room. Proposed and then photoshopped us into wedding pictures, sent invites all his family, mine and my friends, got an ultrasound photo online and tried to announce to Facebook we were expecting a baby. Shaved our initials into his cat and left hundreds of love letters taped to my car, so that was crazy. We went on half a double date with friends. I was just being a good sport, noped out when he proposed when my food came. The rest came over the next week. Edit to clarify as I feel I wasn't clear. This was all after the one and only date. This wasn't a we dated for months and then his crazy came out. This was we met an hour ago. Why are you proposing to me? Story 8. She woke me up because I had the night sweats and she was convinced I had AIDS. For some reason, I decided to appease her and got a full STD screen, including an expensive AIDS test. A few weeks later, I drove to her house to give her my signed note. I had to specifically request, stating my clean bill of health. She accused me of forging the entire thing, and in the following argument, pulled heat plates out of the cupboard and frisbeed them at me. I left immediately. About 6 months later, I had just started dating my now wife. She contacted me to tell me she believed me and wanted to know if she and her 2 dogs could move in with me. I never responded.